Hello, yes, so I'm just doing this video for tutorial 9/10. There's a lot of material in tutorial 9, and I think probably it's really realistic to do it spread over 9 and 10, because it's pretty much the full framework for the coursework too, although obviously you'll have to extend this, add more functionality, and add your own individual touches to it, including additional code, flowcharts, and assets and animations. So here we go. This is going to be just looking at tutorial 9, tutorial 8, the end of tutorial 8, week 8, and this is the what we ended up doing. So we had our iPad till, and on that we had just a background screen. We had a timer with the Unity UI text tied into the timer in the game manager flowchart, and then we had a seeding button which I could press and then have the diners appear, and then they would animate, and at the end of that I could take their payment and they would be destroyed. So that's the basics of that scene, and obviously we tab that iPad on and off. So that looks like it's working pretty well. I think we have the old create and destroy there as well. We can always get rid of that. So that's where we're starting. In this case, what we need to do is start in on one of the diners, one of the flowchart chairs, as we call it, and I'm going to activate that so that it doesn't lose any linkages when we click on commands. Remember, that's one of the troubleshooting issues. And if I go into the flowchart, I've got a lot of things I need to add to this. So I'm going to start by adding 3 new booleans. So I'll say add boolean, 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 and these are going to be so we've obviously got the paid boolean. So we're going to have 3 more. One is DinerActive, and we're not using this much at the moment, but we may do in the future. And then we have BurgerOrderTaken. That's good. And then we have BurgerOrderServed. So that's our 3 new boolean variables, and you can expand or contract them here as needed to look at them. I'm going to make these all public because they'll need to be accessed from other places. We'll see that. And then we're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new integer variables. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reason for that is this chair with its number is taking most of the brunt of the information about this diner, about the individual diner. That's because the diner is just a fairly stupid prefab object, just as a flowchart to destroy itself. The way Unity is set up is you cannot have linkages from prefabs to game objects. You could get around with this with some array code, but we're not pushing C# code as the main thrust of this module. So you can do that if you are doing some C# coding, but I'm not going to require that. So we've got WaitTimer. And these are all the timers. So you'll have WaitTimeTotal, EatTimer, EatTimeTotal, PayTimer, PayTimer, PayTimeTotal, TipRandomiser, and the tip. Okay, and I'll leave these all as private. So that's all set up now. Now we need some new blocks, so we're going to create an update Diner GUI. Just tuck that down here and right-click New Block. Rename that WaitTimer. Enter. Then we'll need an iPad input. iPad input. Right. And then order and serve. And eat. And this forms a rough sort of flow chart across here. And another one, pay, block happiness, calculates happiness from the various timers, and finally tip. There we go. So that's pretty good chunk of blocks that we have, more than we've done before. So we'll go through and try and take it easy on linking those up. So what we need is on enable, we have to initialize some variables, some more variables. So we've got paid as false. So copy. Let's just paste a bunch of those. So next one we can do is DinerActive. Make that true. And then BurgerOrderTaken. So you can see you can just select them from the drop down here, which is great. And we're just initializing these as they need to be. So WaitTimer. WaitTimer again is 0. EatTimer. You can imagine they do what they say. So then we'll have PayTimer. So depending on how long the diner waits for certain things, he may be happier or less happy. So the tip, we just start out as 1, and that gets multiplied by the happiness. So there we go. That looks pretty much right. And at the end of this unenable block, we will say send message. So we'll add a new command. And this will be flow, and we'll say send message. And that, we'll do that in the same flowchart. And we'll say update Diner GUI. And that will handle all the updating text that's needed on the iPad. And for this, then we'll say move on to the next one, next block. So we'll say flow, call, and we want to, again, we can do a drop down and we say, all right, we want to move on to WaitTimer in this case. So from unenable to WaitTimer. Great. So that looks pretty good. As the flowchart is enabled, these things are initialized, Malcolm is spawned, and you send a message to move on to the WaitTimer. Now for the WaitTimer, we want to set up, you've seen this before, it's the typical sort of loop. So we'll start out with a label. So under flow, we'll say label, and we'll call that start. And then we'll add another one, flow, jump. And jump wants to go to start. So that's the beginning and end of it looping. Then in between we'll say we want to wait for 1 second. Because this is one of our timers. So then we'll say set variable. WaitTimer. Again, all drop-down menus. And if we say plus equals, that is basically adding 1 to the value. So we add 1 to the WaitTimer value, so incrementing it. Then in order to, so this you'll remember with the GUI, the update GUI, we need an update GUI, so we'll do a send message. And for that we will do, send message. Same flowchart. Update Diner GUI. There we go. And maybe just to differentiate, just have no spaces there. So then we get into so that's the timer ticking away nicely, just going in a loop. Now we want to have the exit. So we're going to say flow if, and this is the exit condition, and we'll put it in between the send message and the jump. And if we have an if, we need an end. So we say if and then end to get out of that. And in that case, if the burger order taken is true, tick true, then something happens. We can say variable, set variable, WaitTimeTotal is now going to equal, and you can do an integer here, but you can also do a variable. So we're going to say at the final wait timer time is the WaitTimeTotal, and then we're actually going to stop the timer. So we can just in flow say stop that. And that's a bit of a a dead end, such as it is. So we'll put that just over here as the initial wait. So because what really happens is if we have our iPad input, that's going to bring in the burger order. So we want to, in the iPad, so we've gotten reasonably adept about putting some, where's our canvas? Our canvas is down here, it's under screen 2. We've put in some buttons on there, and press F for focus and or frame, and yeah, we've got a button there. So let's put a toggle. So under canvas we can say select canvas, say UI toggle, and that will give us this little toggle box. Again, we're going to have to do a certain amount of adjustment on this. So I'll say rotation. I can't remember the rotation on this. Let me just try it on here. Yep, okay, so that's 90 degrees in the Z. And if I look at that, it's got a little bit of width is probably a bit much. So we'll say 60. And text on that, the label will probably say order for now. Now go back up to toggle. We can drag that across, drag that up, one axis at a time nicely. Press F for frame. I can see that I probably need a little bit more, and I'll drag that just out a little bit, so it's a little bit out of the. Otherwise, it's obviously quite tight in as far as sitting on top of the others are sitting up on top quite a bit more. So I'll just move that out a little bit, so that's better. Okay, so in my order, again, I will go and bring in the my new typeface, the TrueType font. I'll go back and get the red color I like, and do the alpha on that. Now, the toggle itself, so I'm going to make it a little bit wider, so I'll say maybe 80, that's fine, maybe even 70. Can scale that probably a bit. So normal color, let's just go for a yellow. Turn that right down as the other. Highlight color can be like a bright yellow. And press color can be like red. Okay. Actually, ticked is the old. Wait, let me say this is what actually ticks it on and off. So, that's probably, but we'll control that in the elsewhere in the flowchart. So I want to have a quick look at the actual scale of this. There we go. Make it a bit better. There we go. So there's my order. Probably don't need it in Z. That's coming out into the screen. So yeah, there we go. And again, with the label, I can do a little bit more alpha with that to have it blend a bit more in. Okay, you won't be quite precise with this when you're doing lots of them, but that's pretty good for now. So I'll go back and I'll say, let me just do a save scene at the moment. Because I think, yeah, we've done, that's probably enough for one. Well, actually, let's finish off this 2-1, even though it's a long video. We'll finish this off, I think, because this will be a good spot to end. So, now then, so we've got our flowchart for our chair, and we've got our iPad input. Okay. What we do is we want to have the input be UI, so it has to be toggle change. So in this case, we're going to drag in the toggle, and the toggle state is going to be burger order taken. So that is going to toggle that variable. So this Boolean variable, which is public, is going to be toggled by that BurgerOrderTaken, and we'll add further commands after we do the kitchen section. So now then what we'll do is we'll wire up some Boolean text. So this way we'll just do some text, and that way we'll do that on update Diner GUI. So if we have message received, update Diner GUI, update Diner GUI, then we will say under here UI set text, and we'll set a load of things. So what we have to do first is actually get some text. So in that case, canvas text timer. Let's have a look at that. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll say duplicate, and we can move that. And I'll just do some text underneath here. I'll make it a little bit smaller, I think. So I'll scale it down. And that way we can fit a bit more on. It looks a bit sensible. So we'll put it according to there. Do the width, say 90, and text, we'll call that happiness. Actually, I'll do it. Text burger taken, just so we can see that. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that. That's a Boolean, but copy and paste and paste and paste and paste. So this is going to be happiness, and this will be tip, and this is individual diner tip, and this will be order timer, and this will be WaitTimer, this will be EatTimer, this will be PayTimer. Okay, so I'm just going to drag them down as well. I may not use the BurgerOrderTaken, we'll see. Drag the happiness down. Drag the tip down. And again, you can see that it doesn't change the actual text label. I can change that later. Or not. And say EatTimer. And PayTimer. In fact, we'll be able to see if the BurgerOrderTaken is done based on these other elements. drag him up, drag him over. There we go, looks pretty good. I may just keep that as is, or you can change the text in this bit. Text, and just change that as needed. Oops. This just gets replaced as well at runtime. Pardon me. Okay, so text. Now then, we'll go back to our flowchart chair, flowchart, and update Diner GUI. So we'll say text, and for the text object, we actually want text happiness. And then to display the text happiness in here, I'll show you how to do that. We can say something like happiness to display it, and then we'll say something like curly brackets, $, happiness, and this grabs the is there a happiness variable? It doesn't seem to be. Okay, that's interesting. I think I might miss that out. Okay, I'll put that in. Very good. Yep, so I'll put that into the tutorial sheet. So that is going to be an actual integer, and that'll be happiness. Very good. And private as well. So that'll take that. Looking at this, I'm thinking that I'll probably have to adjust the text a bit. So I'll drag it all out a bit. So I think, it's going to be reasonably big size. And I'll do that. I'll do a width of, say, 100. Scale. Oops. Okay, so width is 100. I do them all. Width of 100. 100. Yep. That's done them all. Scale them a bit, just in case. Okay, so on flowchart, Diner GUI, happiness. So that's how I do the rest of them. So I'll just copy and I'll paste and keep pasting until I get enough. So I think that's probably enough. So now I'll say tips. So for this one, text object is going to be tips. And I'll say this just tip and tip. Now, next one is order timer. Drag that in. WaitTimer. Drag that in. EatTimer. Drag that in. And PayTimer, drag that in. So we go backwards and say PayTimer, EatTimer. EatTimer. And that has to be the same as the variable, so it grabs the value. And this would be WaitTimer, whereas over here I'm just giving it a space because it's just the display. And this is OrderTimer. So nearly there. I should be able to run this then, I think. Okay, let's have a look. So, yeah, okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll save this scene as a second version. And actually save my recording because it's quite long, and then I'll test that and I'll come back with the next step and make sure everything's okay.